This is about a strike which began in 1984 on the Kentucky-West Virginia border. In 1986, it's still being worked out in the courts. In the same area which saw the mine wars of the 1920s, A.T. Massey Coal, owned by two multinational corporations, has decided to bust a contract strike.
Y'all work here?
Yeah, we used to. Now we picket here for the last 8 months. Our forefathers shedded their blood for this, and there ain't no way we're going to let our old pensioners down. They depend on us.
We heard that A.T. Massey has mines in South Africa.
Working them guys over there for nearly nothing, probably for a song and them a singing it. And they'd work us for the same thing here if they could. All the company cares for is, as long as you're making them $1, they're patting you on the back and you're the finest fella in the world. You stick your head out from under that rock and get covered up. You know, there's another man standing in line waiting for your job. That's the way it is in these non-union outfits. I worked in the non-union mines. I know what it is. And I'd not go back to it. I believe I'd just as soon sign up on welfare before I'd go back non-union.
A.T. Massey Coal Company and many other coal companies have huge investments in southern West Virginia, including property and coal mines and preparation plants and mining equipment. And even though it's difficult to make an objective evaluation of the return on demonstrating that you have a right to work, I think the ultimate return is, invaluable. It just can't be valued. And if we cannot agree under what terms the employees are going to work, that we still have our right to work, and that that's clearly spelled out in the laws, and that there are people who will exercise that right.
He works for Southeastern Security Company from Marietta, Ohio.
So they have cards with their pictures and everything on it. Names.
Name, rank, and serial number.
Fingerprints on the back of them and everything else, I reckon. Here comes one of their special-made vehicles right here.
This filming with them people's been going on since late last week in December.
Lord, honey, I don't know what they do with it. They could start their own television station, I'd say, with the film that they've got, couldn't they, Joe?
Their family, their wives will bring us food on the picket line. They run out with their cameras.
If you look, there's a camera. If you come on closer, there's a camera up in this window. There's two up here on top of the silo. Of course, they always have the handheld right here close by. And for a long time at the loadout there was one, but they've taken it down.
A.T. Massey is one of the rottenest companies that they are in the world. That's just that simple. They want to be the top dog on everything, and they want you to crawl.
Do you think that Massey, because they cut us back to say $8 or $9 an hour, that they would cut their coal, say, from 35 to 28 to try to help out the economy? No. In fact, they'd probably be wanting to cut us and raise their prices.
They scabs here from Oklahoma. It's a pretty far-reaching effect this thing's having, Their dog compound with their old killer-trained dogs is just straight ahead here behind this little camper that you see down here in the corner of this compound. And they've got 2 miles of chain-link fence put up.
We really feel for all the coal miners in Africa, everywhere they're at. We're all in this together. And if we don't stick together, we're all going to lose. It's a tough battle any way you go. It really is.
This used to be a nice place to live. It's a nice neighborhood. It looks more so like a concentration camp now than it does a coal mine. Everything's behind fence. And they, actually in my mind, they act like they're above the law.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I've lived here since September of '57. I've experienced 3 floods, but there's nothing I've experienced any rougher than this right here. They've got a belt up there that's been squeaking for 4 months, and they could fix it in 30 minutes, but they want to aggravate the people here. There's not a soul that feels any different from me. You can sit down here and you never hear that belt, and you didn't see any armed guards running up and down the road. I mean, it's just altogether a different thing now.
A.T. Massey is a multinational. It's a conglomerate of Royal Dutch Shell, the second largest corporation in the world, with $76.5 billion in assets, and Fluor Corporation, with roughly $6 billion in assets. They both own a coal company, and those coal companies both own A.T. Massey. Massey, in turn, has divided itself out into hundreds, virtually hundreds of corporations stacked on top of each other.
We had a delegation here from South Africa. Amongst them was the president of the National Union of Mine Workers in South Africa. We sent him down to take a look at the A.T. Massey strike, the picket line. His first comment was, "What is the use of a strike then, if the company can continue operating?" But then that's the law in this country. And on approaching the scene of the strike, he said he saw so many police. He saw these barbed wire fences that are common in South Africa. And he wasn't sure whether he was still back home or here in America.
The South African issue is something that I think is very difficult for me or anyone in this country to understand. It's a totally different sociological situation. They have to operate the way things are in that country or they don't operate at all. And you have to ask yourself whether they would be better off without those companies and the millions of dollars that are being developed and invested in these undeveloped countries. So I think sometimes we've looked hard at everybody from Royal Dutch Shell to Occidental Petroleum or whoever has gone into these areas, but they've gone in with good intentions, and I think they've actually helped the people. They're paid less partially because if they were paid as much as American workers are today, with their productivity, they wouldn't have a job either.
Where do these American jobs go to? Where do the companies get their profits from? The corporations transport jobs to South Africa. In South Africa, they can then profit from slave labor conditions. And they can then ship back the coal that they have mined from South Africa and sell it to the American consumer. They should bring back those American jobs. Or if they work and operate business in South Africa, to do the business under the same conditions as they would have done in their own countries.
If multinationals have their way, it'll be a world where everything is gauged in terms of dollars and cents. And if they can produce coal cheaper in South Africa with slave labor, they'll do that. We're not like them, a piece of paper and a balance sheet. The union, the United Mine Workers, exists in the hearts and in the minds of its members and their families. And all the money in the world will never eradicate that from our hearts and from our minds, and there will always, but always, be United Mine Workers in this country, because there will always be a need for us.
I got tired of just sitting around, and I went down to raw sales and got a job of contracting, putting up a fence. One thing just led to another, and since then I've been trucking this coal. I do predict there will be a massacre right here in Maitland. That's my thinking. It's my theory.
And you're going to be here?
I'll be here, dead or alive. It don't make any difference which. Now they can shoot me today. I don't care, but they better kill me when they do.
Why's that?
Because I'll show them how to kill if they don't. I'll show them what it's all about. How can I work for you and tell you what to do? Tell you how to run your operation? That's impossible. I know every driver, where they're from, how many coon dogs they've got. This kid here, his father's a rich man, owns a big spread of cattle in Wythe County, dairy farm. He's tired of milking cows.
Well, it's just like some hats we got the other day. It's 1985, Fight for Freedom. That's what I believe it is, it's fighting for freedom. It's just free to work, free to, work without. Give me just a minute, I'm about ready to talk to Truck. Let me talk to Truck.
You gotta talk to Truck.
Those people try to justify themselves for what they're doing. And I don't think that there's a man that drives up that road out there that's taking another man's job can do it comfortably. If he has any conscience at all, or any principle, it has to bother him.
If it don't bother him, he's a scab, ain't Bill?
You know, if you don't like working union mine, you work non-union. You work unsafe, and you let the boss kick you in the rear end anytime he gets ready, and he comes in and tells you when you're working, not if you want to work overtime. And, if people like that, well, if that's their thing, shoot your best shot. But don't be coming in here crossing a picket line.
At one point, we learned that perhaps we were on a historic journey, and we thought we would try to capture a little bit of it to use somewhere in the future, for just family viewing or to show our children, our grandchildren, whatever the case might be, and Jerry went after it.
They don't care about your families. They don't care about your babies. They don't care about your husband. They don't care about your wife. And Mr. Politician, we want them out of here on the same horse they rode in on. Bless God, we want them out of here. I don't care how many times their name and pictures in the paper. They're not always right. And we're standing up for what's right. And bless God, we're going to continue to stand up for what's right. And if wintertime comes around again and there's 18 inches of snow and we've not got a contract, we'll be here then. We're going to be here. Praise the Lord.
You got over there and you saw everybody fighting for that little bunch of people. There weren't that many people that belonged to Sprouse Creek, but there was thousands of people over there, at least 800, And then you saw, just like back in the olden days, like when your grandfather and everybody there was fighting so hard, then you realize what they fought for. Mm-hmm. And you saw that's when it made what they fought for mean something. That's why I was proud to be over there. I remember the snow and my feet freezing and everything, and I was so proud of all them people gathering in there and all that. I mean, it was just a warm thing to see, Then I realized, and then it started meaning something to me to be a union person.
This area has a history of union.
Yeah. Union terrorism.
Is that the way you see it?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I grew up in what many people consider the toughest town in Mingo County, in DeLorme, which is on the border of Pike County and not too far from Virginia, which are both dry counties, and it was a very rough area. And, I know the history of the Mate 1 massacre and the Hatfield-McCoy feud and all that kind of violence. The only thing that I can say about that is not conducive to good business climate.
This is not a scene from the network news showing violence in the Middle East. For several months, this violence has been taking place near the Sprouse Creek coal processing plant in Mingo County, West Virginia. Imagine what it would be like if you were inside this car.
What about this kind of surveillance, the cameras on the silos?
Well, there's several reasons. Number one, we were encouraged to do that by the courts. Both Judge Staker and Judge Maynard have said that some of the best evidence of strike violence and reasons that police protection and court action is needed has been shown by those cameras. And it's been a big use both to us, and we think that our struggle can be of big use to the, to the whole state.
Time is 13:22. Cameraman Steve Canterbury. I'm on Route 49 coming into Sprouse Creek. This is Loboda.
We hit the gas?
No, just hang on.
The gas referred to isn't the accelerator, it's tear gas.
Hit the gas. Push it.
Zulu, we are under heavy fire down here. We're still getting a lot of beatings. We're getting no assistance from the Sierra Papa.
Gas ain't working.
Flat tires. Okay, so you get down here, you're going to have to dive one way or the other. They need to clear that out where you can get into 7 there. Right, there's quite a few of them walking up. Maybe they can get it under control.
Another tactic employed by the striking miners has been to block the roads with rocks and trees. Deadly high-powered slingshots have been used. 400 coal truck windshields have been broken. More than 500 tires destroyed. Over 15 vehicles totally destroyed. Not to mention the tremendous economic impact to the states of Kentucky and West Virginia. The violence must stop. The law must be enforced.
The fact of the matter is our costs, despite that strike damage, are equal to or less what they were before the strike. Just a large number of reasons. But what you've got, when you're running the kind of volume we run at 200,000 tons a month, you know, and you sustain $400,000, $2 a ton is equal to the royalty payments alone. Then when you throw into that the fact that we are able to better manage and we don't have any work stoppages in the meantime, and we don't have problem with getting a guy that normally runs a roof boulder to do something else for us, where in the union he might say he ain't going to do that. You know, that's more than made up for the strike damage.
200,000 tons a month out of Sprouse Creek?
Mm.
Oh my gosh. That's a lot of coal.
A lot of coal for a strike. If you're not union and you're able to pay a comparable benefit payment, it might cost you 20% of what the union pension plan costs you. What that means is not that I'm for or against that. What that means is that non-union competitors have a tremendous advantage, and therefore they sell coal cheaper and drive union coals out of business, union coal operations out of business.
A man goes in the mine for 20 years. He comes out of that coal mine, and to walk down the street in Williamson or the shopping mall, he has to have a bottle of oxygen in a shopping cart in front of him. Somebody owes that man something. And Massey definitely doesn't want to face up to that responsibility. That's it in a whole. And as long as we're around, Massey's going to face up to that responsibility if he mines coal in eastern Kentucky and West Virginia.
What you have to accept in a capitalist society generally is that I always make the comparison, it's like a jungle, where a jungle's survival of the fittest. Unions, communities, people, everybody's going to have to learn to accept that in the United States you have a capitalist society, and that capitalism from a business viewpoint is survival of the most productive. And you may have a year, 2 years, 5-year periods where lesser productive companies or people have benefit, but in the long term it's going to be the most productive people who benefit.
Now I ain't worth 2 pennies. My lungs is gone, I've lost an eye, I've lost a kidney. When the big money come in, they had to take me out of the mines. Now they're a rich company, they got plenty of money, and they made money. I didn't see their growth this year, but last year I forget now how many $1 million they cleared, and they was paying big money. They was paying union wages, and they made big money. They just want to take all of it. They don't want poor people to have none of it. They want it all. They're greedy. I've been shot at. I have run. I have jumped in holes of water. When you'd be outnumbered, you had to go. And we stuck together and we got it. Don't never let nobody tell you you can't shut nothing down if you go at it right. If they shut that railroad down for 3 days, the government gonna call Massey and they gonna go to bargain. They ain't gonna be going there and letting these trucks drive down here. I mean, stop everything. But if they can get somebody dumb enough to get in them trucks and drive them, they gonna try. Which I wouldn't. I wouldn't get in them trucks for $10,000 a day because I care for my life. I don't want to die. I want to live. And a lot of them men that's doing that, they dad is drawing Johnny L. Lewis. And I know what I'm talking about.
I worked for Cook Trucking and for the Mingo County Sheriff's Department before the strike. I was a deputy sheriff for 5 years in Mingo County. This is America. They say this is America, and they're living in Poland, and we're the Poland people, but we're the one being ordered to do stuff, and they're trying to force us to do something that we're not wanting to do. So as far as I'm concerned, this union is no profit or no benefit to no person.
They could have come to work. There wasn't nothing stopping them. I mean,
they all decided to go out
yeah,
together,
you know. Well, I mean, like if you get $250 a week to stand down there and throw rocks at people or work for a living, which one would you take? You throw rocks at people for $250 a week, just about it, wouldn't you?
After the strike's over, do you think you'll be working here, or where are you going?
Leave the country, probably. Too many tempers got too far out of hand to ever let it be. Bygones be bygones. I can't ever see it being the same. I don't think it will. I don't think they should hold it against us. I've got a family just like everybody else. You know, I've got to feed and clothe them. So if they come back to work, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if I have to go. I mean, that was their job before. I'm just taking up slack while they're gone.
Do you ever feel like you're being used?
Yeah, in a way.
Well, we get extra good pay. We get paid for doing what we're doing. So, can't beat that. Well, they throw paint on you, try to throw it on your windshield to wreck you.
What about the plexiglass? What's that for?
That's to keep them big rocks from coming through your windshield. I got it on my truck over here. All mine's all the way around, bulletproof. I got it on the doors and the windows.
I'm sorry?
Got it on the doors and the windows.
What is that stuff? That's waterproof?
That's Lexion.
What does that do?
It'll withstand bigger rocks and bullets. Pretty good size. We're up to 38.
Yeah, you know, scab, you're gonna work or you'll get fired at one. That's one thing about it. You know, the job will be here. I'd rather be that, you know. A lot better money, I believe.
There are people that Massey wouldn't even allow on their property if it wasn't for this thing right here. And when they get through with this, they'll get rid of them.
Do you ever feel sorry for them?
No, I don't feel sorry for the son of bitches. Sure don't.
You think they know exactly what they're
I
doing?
wish they'd every one fall dead and slide in the river. Go on down to Mississippi or somewhere, get them the hell on out of here. You got Tommy Copley, he used to be a city cop in Williamson, make one both. You got Ricky Starr, used to be a city cop. They laid their badges down and went over here and took badges for Massey.
If they call it non-union coal, it would have never been no union to start with. We wouldn't have had no say-so without the men who voted for a contract. But this is union altogether. I mentioned
we
it
were
to the
raised
Daily News.
union, not no scab.
I got on a Daily News man up there, that Mark Francis, about calling it non-union paper, non-union coal in the Williamson Daily News. Well, he said a lot of people away from here might not know the difference. Said, you say scab, they don't know what you're talking about. I said, man, what's the matter with you? They know what scab is in Poland.
If the union leaves here, people will be working for $30 a day, and Massey will take barrels of money out of here and take it in other states or overseas and other places, and the people around here won't have nothing, but they don't realize that yet. But they're going to realize it before it's over with, or when it's over with.
If it takes 20,000 men, send them.
The longer we take on this thing, the stronger they get. We need to get something done now. We don't need to wait.
Our people, at the request of President Trumka, chose to go back to work unconditionally. Eventually, we're going to win, but it's just terrible that they have to work with those scabs. They put me in some good class here. They fired Bill and Frank and I. You know, of course, they fired a lot of our people, too.
One thing that would definitely get you a contract without a shadow of a doubt is to shut the coal down permanent and not let them run none at all. But the money and resources that Massey had, it's real difficult to do that. I personally walked the train from where it come off the main line all the way up the sidetrack to right before you get to the mines, and that's where we sat down in a place. They got to threaten us with felonies and interstate commerce, blocking it and all that, so from there on in, we've been in court fighting them.
My dad was fighting them for the same thing I'm fighting for now. A decent wage, a little dignity and a living. And I see this battle going on for a lifetime. I don't think my dad wanted me to be a coal miner, and I didn't particularly want to be a coal miner. But that's where the money was at.
You would work non-union.
First mine I ever worked in, Ann, was non-union, but I couldn't get a job anywhere else. I didn't have any experience. I was running a cutting machine, and I'd parked the cutter off to the side in a break, and I was sitting there drinking coffee, and there was a curtain up. The superintendent, the section boss, was on the other side of the curtain. And I heard the boss and the superintendent, they were just having a bull session. I heard him tell the superintendent, he said, you know, Dave, he said, my one ambition in life is to work some poor son of a bitch to death. I sat there for a few minutes and I'd probably, I got to thinking, you know, that I was that guy that he'd been treating that way. But that was the last day in an ununion mine. I quit. I have a boy, 16 now, 15 when the strike started. I brought him with me one night. Raining and dark, kind of cold, and I told him what it was all about. Son, this is what life is in the coal fields when you let these people walk over you.
For one day, we had all the trucks stopped, which we had, I guess, about 2,000 miners out there. They didn't have no choice but to stop. There's a man asked me to write a little song about that.
Say, hey, Mr. Massey, no, you ain't gonna run no coal. No, you ain't gonna run any coal here today. Well, the union, as you know, has come a long, long way. Those old scat truckers that you hired are not gonna stand in our way. Say, hey, Mr. Massey, no, you ain't gonna run today. No, you ain't gonna run any coal here today. Well, you're trying to split our brothers up and have the things your way. We tell you now, it's not gonna work, the union is here to stay. We believe in our freedom, in the good old USA, and we're not gonna be pushed around, united, we're gonna stay. Well, you thought about so many ways how to tear the union down, but the union's gonna still be here when they're putting you in the ground. Say, hey, Mr. Massey, no, you ain't gonna run today. No, you ain't gonna run any coal here today. Well, you're trying to split our brothers up and have the things your way. We tell you now, it's not gonna work, the union is here to stay.